So hello there, behind me is the Deutsches Museum. I've already been to two of the branches, like the Flugwerft in Oberstraße, this video of the airplanes, and I've been to the Verkehrszentrum with a lot of cars and cranes, and now I go to the Deutsches Museum, the main museum, and at the moment it's renovated, so it's only partially open, but I think it's still a lot to see, so maybe there will be a part 2 in the future when a new section will be open, and let's see what's inside, or to quote Mac Damon, let's science the shit out of it. Okay, have fun.
I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this.
But first a little history about the museum. If you're only interested in what's inside, it's best to skip to the minute shown here. The idea for the museum is largely linked to the engineer Oskar von Miller. He was a pioneer of electrification in Germany. To promote science and industry, he had the museum built in 1903 with the help of the city of Munich on the former coal island, now known as Museum Island. In the Middle Ages, this was nothing more than a gravel bed that was regularly flooded. In the following centuries, however, it was fortified and secured against flooding. First there were barracks, later the museum. The oldest part of the museum is on the southern part of the island, where the actual showrooms are located, which I will show you. It was opened in 1925, the northern part was gradually expanded in the 1920s. It houses the administration workshops and library of the Deutsches Museum. Today it is considered one of the most important specialist libraries in the world for the history of science and technology. At the northern end is the former Congress building, which was opened in 1935. The stone eagles on the roof indicate who was in power in Germany at that time. It was always Oskar von Miller's intention to keep the museum free of politics. At the height of the main entrance on the other side of the Isar River, there is a statue of the founder of the Reich, Otto von Bismarck. He was just as controversial during his lifetime as he still is today. On the one hand, he unified Germany and was the founder of the German welfare state. On the other, he is considered a promoter of nationalism and anti-liberalism. Oskar von Miller opposed the erection in 1931. He did not want to see any connection to the Deutsches Museum. Today it stands here and is probably the most unpopular monument in the city. The actual main entrance to the museum is currently being renovated. This is why the current entrance is at the southernmost part. A large part of the exhibition rooms are also being renovated, so only some of the exhibitions are accessible. Nevertheless, you can spend the whole day there. The Deutsches Museum is now one of the largest science and technology museums in the world. I even read the largest, but that may only be true if you include the areas of the branches. I'm not quite sure about that. The entrance area leads directly to the auditorium. Occasional lectures and changing exhibitions take place here. When I was there, it was about light and matter. Something that far exceeded my level of expertise. But you can learn here about how light and matter relate to each other here. I also found a glass of Munich tap water here. All I can think of is this. For the optimist, the glass is half full, for the pessimist, it's half empty, and the engineer notices that the glass is twice as big as it should be. The first room of the permanent exhibition was about robotics. This is about the cultural significance of robots, their use in industry, their use at home. I also have a small robot vacuum cleaner, and the future of robotics. The next room is about building bridges, from the first tree trunk over a stream to Roman viaducts and modern suspension bridges made of reinforced concrete. What's nice about the Deutsches Museum is that you can always try something out for yourself. Here I'm trying to build an arch bridge. Despite my ingenuity, I couldn't manage it with one hand. I had to hold the camera with the other. But with two hands, it worked. There is also a strange exhibit here. It's the oldest reinforced concrete building in Germany, dating from 1884. And yes, it's a doghouse. At the end of the room I pumped water from an Archimedean fountain, and here you can see that it would go further, but behind it renovations are on the way. You should definitely also take a look at the stairwell. Here a Foucault pendulum hangs from 60 meter, 197 feet long rope. Over the course of time the pendulum turns over one rod after the other, thus proving the rotation of the Earth. But I didn't wait that long. Then there's a section that deals with engines. From steam engines to diesel and gasoline engines to modern wind turbines. After the engines, you come to the airplanes, which take up the most space. The first floor is dedicated to modern aviation. This is a lot about how modern passenger airplanes work and how they are built. But you can also see military aircraft such as this Lockheed F-104. It was renamed Widowmaker in Germany because of its many crashes. This pilot also seems to have had enough of the plane. Then there's also a lot to press and play here, where you are taught the principles of avionics. On the second floor there are exhibits of historical aviation. Of particular interest are exhibits from the Second World War period. In addition to the Luftwaffe's standard fighter, the Messerschmitt Bf 109, you will also find fighters that have written technical history. The Me 163 rocket plane and a replica of a Bachem BA 349 Nutter can be seen here. And there is a Messerschmitt Me 262, the first series produced jet fighter in history. And this aircraft with its shark nose is a real beauty. One must not forget the circumstances under which many of these fighters were built. Forced labor and the concentration camp system were closely linked to technological progress. This aspect is also highlighted here in the museum. Next to it is the Aggregat 4, better known as V2, the first human object to reach space. An estimated 200,000 camp workers died for the Nazi wonder weapon alone. Later, project manager Wernher von Braun made a career at NASA and sent astronauts to the moon.
Say that he's hypocritical, say rather that he's apolitical. Once the rockets are up, who cares where they come down? That's not my department, says Wernher von Braun. Some have harsh words for this man of renown, but some think our attitude should be one of gratitude, like the widows and cripples in old London town, who owe their large pensions to Wernher von Braun.
Atomic physics is also located on the second floor. Here you can see an atomic energy laboratory playset with real uranium ores from the 50s. However, I don't think you can buy this in the museum store today. Otherwise, of course, it is all about atomic structure, nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. I somehow walked past the roofs for classical optics and chemistry. Instead, I had a look at the musical instruments section. Here you can find the earliest instruments such as flutes and drums, but of course also plugged, string and wind instruments. One of my favorite exhibits of the whole museum is here, a theremin that you can try out yourself. Listen to my music. Opposite the theremin is a Trautonium. It is one of the very first electronic musical instruments. If you've seen The Birds by Hitchcock, then you've heard a Trautonium before. The fluttering noises were produced with it. A friend of mine, Peter Pichler, is probably the only person who can master a Trautonium today. I'm going to make a video about him at some point. Until then, I'll link to his homepage below. The exhibition then ends with the latest electronic organs and synthesizers. If you follow the V2 to the top, you will come to the exhibition on space travel. There are all kinds of things to see here, from space capsules to lunar vehicles and various satellites. Of course, you also learn how such a rocket works, namely on the basis of Newton's third law of motion.
To every action, there is always opposed an equal reaction, or, the mutual actions of two bodies upon each other are always equal, and directed to contrary parts.
Then, on the third floor, there is a section on writing and coding. It may sound a bit dull at first, but it's really very exciting. Here you can learn how coding and decoding works. And of course the German enigma from the Second World War is not to be missed. You learn that the red telephone between Washington and Moscow is not red at all. You can also learn about letterpress printing, from the oldest book press to the most modern printing presses. There's also an exhibition on photography and film on this floor. My camera wasn't among the museum exhibits, that's reassuring. Here are exhibits from flipbooks to modern film. I found all the spy cameras particularly exciting. Then there's an area that deals with electronics. Here you can create your own circuit diagram. This here is an upright pendulum that always stands upright. And there is also some art here, a tornado made from electronic waste. There are also two exhibitions on the top floor. One room deals with medicine from head to toe. From the medicine you know from every pirate movie, to the latest treatment methods. A beautiful furnished old pharmacy can also be found here. The last exhibition deals with agriculture, from old alpine huts to modern dairy robots. It was already late lunchtime and I was starting to think about my lunch. Which piece of beef would be the best? And finally, the most important exhibit for Munich in the whole museum: how is beer actually brewed? That was my trip to the Deutsches Museum. I think I was able to give you an insight into what you can see there. As I said, maybe only half of the museum is open to the public at the moment. There's actually a nice section on shipping and also an exciting section on mechanical physics with a lot of fun experiments. But I'll just show you when these areas are accessible again. Nevertheless, you can easily spend a long morning or even longer in the Deutsches Museum. Below you will find a link to the museum homepage. At the moment the regular entrance fee is €15 and the museum is open every day from 9 AM to 5 PM. If you like the video, leave a like. If you like my channel, subscribe. And if you like Munich, come here and book a tour with me. Here's my homepage and my email address. Until the next video, Philip.